Hello healers and health seekers, it's me, Ichoda, and I have been healing with medical medium for 27 months now. I have healed a multitude of illnesses, or am healing a multitude of illnesses, and if you want to know about that, they are in the description box below. I talk about those. Today, I want to answer a question that I actually get kind of a lot. And that question is medical medium really going to help me heal? Is this really going to work for me? Is this really going to help me? And I understand that question because I asked it myself when in the beginning of this, because I had been through the medical system. I had been through the Western medical system. I had been through the naturopathic medical system. I had been through Chinese medicine and acupuncture and chiropractic and massage therapy, and while all of those ones actually were pretty helpful, but they didn't help me heal. They just helped me get through it, basically. Western medicine didn't help with anything. I'll be honest. Both Western and naturopathic medicine. It just took a lot of my time and money and effort and trust, and broke my trust and caused a lot of medical PTSD and hurt me over and over again. And it was a lot of really difficult experiences. And every single person I have talked to with chronic illness had the same kinds of experiences. Being laughed at by doctors, being given the runaround by doctors, being shuffled through a system that just is not designed in any way, shape, or form to actually heal people, but tells you that it is over and over again. You know, this is the way, this is the way, this is the way, this is how you get help, this is how you heal. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Every single doctor not knowing what to do, not wanting to, or, you know, the ones that actually can admit that they don't know what to do are godsends. They don't help, but they don't give you trauma. But the ones who insist that they do know what to do and that their way is the way, and that if they're not finding the answer, then it's in your head, those ones are creating trauma, and it's horrible. And every single person I know with chronic illness has had their share of these kinds of experiences, of just being shuffled through a horrible system, and just creating medical PTSD. I cannot tell you the number of stories and the kinds of stories, all of the horror stories I have heard from people. And it breaks your trust. It breaks your trust. It breaks your faith. You start to lose hope. You start to think, what is the point of even being on this planet? Why am I still alive in a body when it doesn't function in any capacity? And I just have to lay here on a sofa and I can't do anything, and I watch my family around me suffering because of my pain, and I watch my life disappearing and losing friends and all of the experiences that happen as a result of chronic illness. And so, desperate. You'll try anything. You know, I did. I tried everything. I've always long believed that there is some way for us to heal naturally. And if I just did the right combination of foods the right way, that I would heal. I knew this in my heart of hearts. It's just that I kept finding the wrong combinations of ways and thinking they were the right ones because the science was really convincing. And I love science and I love research, and I believe in them, you know, when they're done correctly. And I thought that what I was reading was correct research, and it was not. It was misinformation. Well, now I know that, but I didn't at the time. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this. I tried so many different ways of eating, and I'm going to try to name them, and I don't even think I'll name them all. I actually did eat raw food for a while. I was raw for a while. I was like, I was high raw. I was like 85% raw. Maybe even more. But that raw was not low fat raw. That raw did include some foods on the no list. And I didn't know that they were bad. I thought they were health foods because that's what everything says. You know, nutritional yeast and soy and canola oil and corn, all of those things I thought were good for you. Not good for you. Not they feed pathogens. But I didn't know that. And at that time, when I was raw, I actually wasn't sick. I was like a fully functional human being. I was heavy. And my son had some health issues at the time, and somebody came into our community who said GAPS had healed her son of autism, and that it would help my son with constipation and all of this stuff. And so even though I think if I have stayed on raw, it definitely would have been a lot better for all of us, we switched to GAPS. And because I was, just desperate to help my son. And so we did that for over a year, like a year and a half. And then from GAPS, we went to paleo. And from paleo, I went to, because then I was starting to so I was about 6 years on paleo. And I honestly, no noticeable changes whatsoever. I didn't lose any weight, but I didn't gain any weight. I didn't feel better, but I didn't feel worse. Really, well, okay. I did start to feel worse, but I didn't realize that it was because of what I was eating at the time. Kind of no changes, but the changes downhill were slow. And then, so after that, then I started to get sicker and sicker, and then I went to autoimmune paleo, and I was losing more and more foods. Autoimmune paleo, and then I thought, okay, well, low FODMAP autoimmune paleo. And I forgot the part where I had done also specific carbohydrate diet. I don't even know when that was. I did that one, and I had definitely done like gluten-free, casein-free, and I did Weston A. Price for a while. So, with the high dairy, raw milk, and all that stuff. So then I was at autoimmune paleo, and then low FODMAP autoimmune paleo, and I think I was going to low salicylate autoimmune paleo, I think, or low salicylate, low FODMAP. I don't know. I was just, I kept getting to where I was eliminating more and more foods, and I thought, and I looked around me and I noticed, and by around me, it's, in these communities, in these online communities where, everybody's doing this. And I noticed that more and more people were losing more and more foods. And I thought, if this is supposed to help people, if we're supposed to be getting better, why is everybody getting sicker? And why is everybody losing all these foods? And why is everybody having to switch to autoimmune paleo from paleo? If paleo is the optimal diet, why are people getting sick eating paleo? Oh, I got to go back even farther, because I also have done a full ketogenic, like I did Atkins, and I did the keto diet. Oh my God, there's protein power. I mean, eat right for your type, the blood type diet. I've done that one. Oh my God, name one. I bet you I've either heard of it or tried it. I did all these ways of eating, and every single one of them was me in my quest for optimal health. And then it just never panned out. Like, it just didn't work. It just didn't work. And finally, I got so sick, the sickest I've ever been. And I lost every part of my health, and to the point where I just thought, well, I'm just dying now. Like, any day it's just gonna be over. And I didn't want that, but actually part of me really did want that. Part of me was just like, there's no point in my being here, because I don't have any kind of a life. Like, I can't contribute anything, and then what, my family just gets to watch me deteriorate and die slowly over time? No, thank you. And I was so depressed and so full of anxiety and so miserable, and I had so much PTSD, and I was in so much physical pain, and I had no energy, and I don't know how to explain this in a way, but it was like the deepest fatigue ever, and it's not something that anybody who hasn't had it could possibly understand, because it's not, you're not tired. It's not tired. It's like, take the worst flu you've ever had, and then just, that's your life every day. That's how crappy it feels all the time. All the time. And 24/7, and it doesn't let up, and you can't shower, and you can't move, and you can't wash a dish or get up and do basic tasks. And you know, I became pretty agoraphobic, because every time I'd leave the house I would react to something, and it was just horrible. And then I finally found Medical Medium, and my life began to turn around. And for me, it was feeling the effect of the celery juice. Was the day one I felt it. I felt my cells come alive when I drank it, and I just, it only continued from there. And then, you know, starting to eat a little bit that way. And your mileage may vary and results vary, because every body is different, and people feel things in different ways, and they're in touch with their body in different ways and at different levels. Everybody's got different pathogen levels. Everyone has different toxin levels. Everyone has different levels of things they've inherited or constantly been exposed to. And so there is like no way to say how long it's going to take each person to heal. But what I can definitively say is you can heal. Yes, yes, yes. If you're wondering, is Medical Medium something that's right for me? Is Medical Medium something that's going to help me heal? This is not, when I answer this question, it is not based on my experience alone, because I realize what an anomaly that can be. It is based on my having been in the Facebook groups and been on Instagram for the past 27 months, watching other people heal along with me, and seeing how many of them have healed, and hearing other stories, just so many stories. And consistently, this heals people. And then when you understand why it works, and why we're sick, and what is causing our illness, and I have definitely gained a much, much deeper understanding of that over time. It really solidified my understanding of it. And I get it. Like, the reason that this small group of pathogens and bacteria, viruses and bacteria, cause such a wide range of illnesses is because ultimately the root cause is these little pathogens, you know, these little viruses, these little bacteria. But there are so many different kinds of viruses and so many different kinds of bacteria. And if you mix those with the so many different kinds of toxins, they cause so many different symptoms and so many different illnesses. It's just, it's stunning and mind-blowing. Because I've had people tell me that they thought it was too simplistic. Like, they read the Medical Medium book and they're like, oh, Epstein-Barr virus causes everything. And it's like, that's not actually what it says. It is a big factor in a lot of illnesses. And most of us do have it. And most of us also have strep and maybe shingles. But you have to really look at that information and realize that what it's saying is that yes, it's the root cause, but it branches out in so many different ways, and it does cause so many different kinds of illnesses based on what heavy metals have you been exposed to, what other pesticides or toxins or radiation or foods that feed viruses and stuff. Like, what levels have you been exposed to? And that's what's going to determine, you know, what your collection of symptoms is, what your diagnosis is, what it manifests as. But the beautiful thing about it is that the healing of these illnesses is, I'm not going to say easy, but I will say simple. It is simple. There are healing foods and there are healing supplements, herbs, that are incredibly helpful at fighting these pathogens. And thank all the powers that be that that is true, because we can heal. We can fight all of this stuff. We can take down the viral load in our bodies, and we can heal. And I need you to know this. It is maybe not the easiest path, and unfortunately it might not be for everyone, but it is a guaranteed path. And sometimes it takes time, and sometimes it takes a long time, because if your body has been exposed to all these things generations and generations and years and years and decades, and you've been sick so long, and you've got all this huge pathogen load and all this huge toxin load, it takes a long time to get all that goop out of your body. And you can't rush it, and you can't make it go faster. Your body is just going to heal at the pace that it heals. But it's the most rewarding path, because it's not just healing one little thing. It's not just putting a band-aid. It's not just eradicating a symptom. It's healing deep down at the core. And you don't just heal your body. You end up healing emotions. You end up healing your soul. You end up healing your spirit. You end up healing past hurts that from, decades ago, from when you were a little kid, that you didn't know how to heal. You end up finding other support that resonates with this path, and you end up, I don't even know how to explain. It's like beyond what you could imagine when you're healing. And then you start to feel good in a way that you have not felt good in maybe ever. I have one friend who says, in my entire life, I don't know what it feels like to feel good. She said, I've never had this feeling before, and I feel good in my body. And she can do things that she never was able to do before. And it's amazing. And that's what this is. That's what real healing is when you're not slapping a band-aid on something. You're not just taking a drug to make symptoms go away, to make your life more comfortable or whatever, but then eventually killing your liver because of all the drugs you're putting in your body. You're really healing deep at the root. You're really healing yourself. And like I said, it's not easy. It's not easy. And what you get to a certain level with like the foods where it's like it's in your routine, but then there's other things that you go through with the emotional healing, and even sometimes with the food, because lifetimes of conditioning and learning about foods and what they are, it takes a long time to unlearn that and to realize that you've been lied to and that none of it's really true, and to sort of get your head around that, it's a paradigm shifter. Get your head around that, like, oh, if this isn't true, then what else isn't true? And then you start seeing that stuff too. But I'm not saying you have to go to those places. That's just where my brain lives. Yeah, if you want to know if this is going to work for you and if you can heal, the answer is yes. And if you say, but what about this illness? The answer is yes. Because these are the healing foods, and these are the healing supplements. And the root cause of all of these illnesses, the information that Anthony William, the medical medium, has about all of these illnesses is just the truth. Unfortunately, everything that we have been led to believe and conditioned to believe up to this point has been disinformation. And that is a hard pill to swallow. That is a hard pill to swallow, because a lot of us really believe in and buy into the system that we have been told is true and accurate and real. And it's none of those things. It's none of those things. And it's not the doctor's fault, because they're just trying to help people. It's not the nurse's fault, because they're really just trying to help people. It's the system. The information from the get-go is false. And I know that's, it's just not an easy pill to swallow, because it's kind of over time you start to realize just how false it is, and just how inaccurate, and just how much we've all been lied to. including the doctors and nurses. They don't know. They don't know what they don't know. It's really not their fault. It's really the system that's been in place for a really long time, built on misinformation, that is packaged as truth. But this information that medical medium has is actual truth. It's untainted. It's from an untainted source. It's from spirit. That's the source, straight from the source. There's no money behind it. There's no greasing of palms. There's no botched research. There's no repackaged misinformation. There's no regurgitated theories that are just not true in the first place and then sold as truth. There's none of that. This man has given his human life, like his life as a normal human being, to dedicate his whole world since he was 4 to just getting the information out there so that we can heal. He writes books because it's the most efficient way to get the information to the most number of people. It is not about making money. He does not make very much money off of the books. The publishers make money, but he doesn't. He doesn't have any hand in any of the supplement companies that he recommends. He does not have any, he doesn't get any kickbacks. He doesn't have any sponsors. He specifically stays away from all of that stuff because he wants us to understand that this is true information, and he's not invested in a belief system or invested in particular companies doing well or any of that. If a company makes a product that is the best product, and that's the supplement he will recommend. If that company changes their formulation and it's no longer the best product, or some other company makes a better product, his recommendations change. Because spirit is behind his recommendations. And that's, who else can say that? Because all the other things that I've invested in before, like following the MTHFR gene and following these paleo people and whatever, everybody's invested in something. They've either invested their lives in a belief system and they've hung their hat on it and they can't possibly change if new information comes out, or they have created a supplement company and it's all invested in selling those supplements and they can't possibly change because they've hung their hat on it. And so if new information comes out, they just have to ignore it and keep on trucking because that's their livelihood, right? Not medical medium, not Anthony William. It's all just pure, untampered with information. It's just the truth. And it's not about a belief system. It's not about getting you to give up this or not do that. It's just the truth. And it's maybe not convenient because other stuff tastes good or whatever, but it's just the truth. So yeah, my answer to, is medical medium going to work for me? Is it right for me? Look, I have a question for you. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to heal? Are you sick and tired of feeling sick and tired? Are you sick and tired of being given the runaround and going through systems that don't work and that are not set up at all to handle anybody with chronic illness? Are you sick and tired of being beaten down and have your trust broken? Do you want to rebuild your trust again? Do you want to feel good in your body? Do you want to be able to trust yourself and your body? Do you want to feel what it feels like to feel good in your body? Do you want to walk again? Do you want to heal? Do you want to be able to run again and jump again and the things that you used to be able to do before your chronic illness? Do you want to be able to wash your dishes or take a shower? Do you want to be able to have a life with your family again? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to have that? Are you willing to go through the journey? Are you willing to put in the time? Because I've had people say to me, like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time to wait to heal. And I'm like, really? What else are you doing? I got nothing but time when it comes to chronic illness. Like, what else do you have? You just have time because all you're doing is just sitting there languishing your life away, right? Like, that's what I was doing. Everybody I know with chronic illness, that's pretty much how it is. Like, you do your best to live your life the best you can and have the best quality of life, but sometimes you just keep deteriorating and deteriorating until all you are is like a lump on a sofa. And that's what I was. Like, I couldn't do anything, and I saw my future. My future was me in a wheelchair. That was my future. And possibly being tube fed. And that's when I said, I'm not having this. I'm not doing that. I am not going down that road. And other people who had some of my same illnesses also had things like colostomy bags and multiple surgeries, and were in and out of the hospital all the time with anaphylaxis and so many other things. And I was like, this is not the life I came here to live. I'm not doing this. I'm not having it. There has to be an answer. And there was. And there is. And it's medical medium. And I'm not going to tell you that this is going to be a rose garden, and I'm not going to tell you this is going to be easy, but I'm going to tell you that it will be the most rewarding journey that you go on. That's not a lie. The reward of feeling better and being able to be in your life again and living again and feeling good in your body for the first time and possibly ever, what? That is priceless. Priceless. It starts to not matter what it takes. Because you start feeling good, and you remember what it was like to not feel this way, and you're like, worth it, I'm doing this. And it doesn't feel so hard. In the beginning it can be overwhelming and tricky, and that's why there's this whole community that you can reach out to. You can get support, and you can get people who can help you along the journey, because now there's enough of us who have been healing for a significant amount of time and kind of know the ropes, and we can show you, we can say, hey, we've been over this path. We know what it's like. We can guide, come on, I'll show you the way. That's the beauty. You don't have to go through it alone. You don't have to go through it alone. Those people in the beginning, and then before he wrote the books, can you imagine? There was no internet. There was no internet community. When he was first doing this work, there was no internet. So people were just on their own with like totally wild new information that no one had ever heard of, right? And then gradually over time, more and more people, and the word gets out a little bit. When he wrote the books, this internet community sprang up. Now there is just support for people. So now when you start, you don't have to start on your own. You don't have to wonder and go through it all by yourself. You can reach out to people and say, how did you do this? What can I do? There are practitioners who use his information in their practice, and so they can help, if you need like really guided support. I saw a practitioner at the beginning a couple times. I felt overwhelmed by all the information. I had such severe brain fog. I was like, I can't even grok what I'm supposed to do, I'm not sure. And I was doing the best I could, but once I was a few months into it, I got an appointment with her, and she was able to say, okay, you've got strep and EBV and shingles, so here's what we're going to do, and you make it not too complicated for you. We'll give you these few supplements, and then drink these teas, and make sure you do this, and you're focusing on these certain healing foods. And then I had something to focus on, and I was like, okay, I got it. Okay, I've got something to focus on. I have something, and I felt like so much relief because I was like, okay, I got a direction to go in. And I didn't have to wonder and be all running my adrenaline because I was so confused. And that was so super helpful. So it was worth the cost. Worth the cost. And you don't have to see a practitioner. You can actually just use the information in the books and in the radio shows and reaching out to people and asking for help. Because here's something that I didn't know at first. In the books, he lists the supplements in order of importance. And you only maybe need to take about the first 6. You don't have to take all of everything he lists. You just take, and they overlap. Some of them overlap for the different things. And once you get honestly, in my experience, and I don't know if this is true for everyone, so don't take this as like, oh, Ichota said it was like this, so it's like this, because it might not be. Okay, this is just me and my personal experience. In my personal experience, the Epstein-Barr virus went down the quickest, and then once the Epstein-Barr virus was down, strep and shingles came out to play kind of hard. Now, they were down too significantly because all the pain in my body was shingles, and that had disappeared within, like, I don't know, a few months. It blew my mind. I did not expect that. But it still lingers in certain parts because shingles moves around, and it's a tricky little bugger, and it'll move around the body and kind of spread out, and it probably has been buried deep in my liver too. So as layers of healing come up, layers of stuff come out of my liver, then they kind of come through my body and I can feel them, and spreads it a little bit. But it's going down. It's always going down. And my liver, I'm finally at the place where I can. Now, my liver has been healing this whole time, you have to understand. But I'm finally in the place where I really am seeing it significantly. And it's a lot of it is just information. A lot of it is me just understanding things better and really knowing, like, oh, this is what's going on there. But there are times where I can feel it too. Like, my liver wakes me up at night sometimes. And I'm like, oh, it's working. It's working hard. It's doing its job. It's getting stuff out. And that's okay. It's okay. You know, it's part of the process. And it's interesting now that, like, having that level of information, like, I really know what's going on. So just know that, yes, this is for you. Yes, you can heal. Yes, you can. I feel like if you're alive, then you have the potential to heal. It does take time, and it is a process. And the beautiful thing is over time you do acquire more information, because he's always got, every week he's got new radio shows out with more information. He keeps putting out more books that just deepen your level of understanding. He does Facebook and Instagram lives. He does Instagram posts. He does blog posts. He's got now the 4th book coming out, and he's writing another one. So it's always more information to deepen our understanding, to deepen our information. There's a Healing Path course on his website. He's always updating the list of supplements. He is tirelessly working for us. He sacrifices sleep. He sacrifices a life. He sacrifices, I don't even know all of the things, but I know that it's not about making a profit off of us. It's about getting us well and healing and giving us the information we need to heal. And I am super grateful for that information, because it has given me my life back. I have watched so many people heal throughout this process. I have created lasting connections in this community. I have made friendships. There are groups of practitioners who use medical medium information in their practice. There are practitioners who are leading cleanses. There's people like Muniza Medical Intuitive, who does mastery cleanses, like detox mastery cleanses, so that you really, really understand the medical medium information and can use it in an empowered way and not be in panic and not be in fear. Over time, using this information, it does help build your trust, because you're not just doing foods and supplements. You are doing meditations, and you're talking to angels, and you're working on building up your own trust with your own body, and you're working on building up your faith and your self-compassion and more. And all of these things are so important for your healing. Not just food, not just supplements. It's so comprehensive. I've never seen anything like this before. I've never seen any program or way of healing or anything. I've never seen anything like this. And believe me, I have looked high and low. I have searched so much. I have exhausted myself searching. I spent years searching, and decades even. Decades. I spent decades searching. And finally, I have an answer. I have the answers, and it's helping everything. And yes, this can work for you too. You just have to be willing to put in the work and do what it takes to heal, and just prioritize healing above all else, because it is the utmost important thing. I hope I was able to answer your question in a way that made sense. I appreciate you watching yet another long-winded video of mine. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up below. You can subscribe to my channel by hitting that button if you want to see more videos like this. If you have any questions for me or anything you would like me to make videos about, let me know in the comments below. Or if you want to tell me about your healing journey and share your story of what brought you to Medical Medium, I would love to hear that. That would be fantastic. I love you. Blessings on your continued healing journey. You can heal. Stay curious, my healers and health seekers, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.